1.3% for the first half of the year. And in sports, the Talawars take over the lead of the CPL.
The CBC Headline News, brought to you by Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the Tuesday, July 19th edition of the CBC Evening News and our top story. Government wants to increase the retirement age for the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Auditor General. The current holders of those offices leave the posts at 62, but the Frundell-Stewart administration wants to extend the limit to 67. The changes require an amendment to the Constitution, a bill which was introduced in Parliament today by Prime Minister Frundell-Stewart. Prime Minister Stewart stressed that for many years the offices of the DPP and the Auditor General have been disadvantaged because they were required by law to retire earlier than any other public servant. The Prime Minister says the amendment is simply to bring about some harmonization.
After careful study of the representations made and the opinion of the Solicitor General and the comments of the Chief Parliamentary Counsel and so on, agreed that the Constitution of Barbados should be amended to put this right, this anomaly right, and that's the basis on which we are before the House today. After, as I said, notice of this bill was given in January and was read for the first time in January, and I think honourable members would have had a significant amount of time to study its implications and to come to their own conclusions as to the merits of the bill before the House.
Prime Minister Stewart says the decision to amend the Constitution was not taken on a whim and does not merit controversy. He says it was proposed by the Solicitor General following recommendations by the DPP and the Auditor General and stood on very good legal grounds. Prime Minister Stewart says the retirement age issue in the public service is not exclusive to Barbados. He explains that other Commonwealth countries have also grappled with this challenge.
I do not think, Mr. Speaker, that the amendments being called for should be an occasion for any controversy. I think that the legislation passed in 1985 and again passed in 2004 was passed in good faith. I think that the legislation represented good policy having regard to what was happening actuarially with our Social Security outfit. And as I said, none of this was restricted to a country like Barbados. Other countries in the Commonwealth and other countries across the Western world have had to deal with this issue.
Opposition Barbados Labour Party leader Mia Motley believes any move by government to amend the Constitution requires dialogue with her party, and that's because it must have the support of 2/3 of the lower house. This as Ms. Motley also queried the status of employees of statutory boards. She also weighed in on the recent ruling handed down by the Employment Rights Tribunal in the National Conservation Commission case. She says while the payment of 52 weeks' salary can help the workers in the short term, serious scrutiny must be paid to those deprived of their pensions. Ms. Motley also disagreed with the tribunal for dismissing the option of the reinstatement of workers.
Because these are general workers, these are rangers, and what relationship of trust exists in a public service, government employee and public service and a statutory board other than the normal ones to be honest, to be punctual, to be courteous, the implied rights. I could understand, sir, if this was a case of a guidance counselor and an employer, but there can be no harm done by forcing the government to go back ab initio from start and follow the dictate that the Prime Minister gave the people of Barbados in September 2013, that it would be last in, first out.
Meantime, former Prime Minister Owen Arthur has given his full backing to increasing the retirement age of the Auditor General and the DPP. He described it as a simple amendment which the BLP supported when he led it.
Now, sir, if the amendment was intended to do something that was inconsistent with that provision that I regard as one of the most important accomplishments of the DLP government that I led, if the DLP had been seeking to offend that, then as an independent member, I'd be speaking stoutly against what is here today proposed.
And the constitutional amendment bill was voted on in Parliament, but it did not get the required two-thirds majority to become law. 17 parliamentarians voted in favor, including the 15 government members and the 2 independents, while the 11 opposition members abstained. Well, the recent attempts by the opposition Barbados Labour Party to cast doubt on the latest unemployment figures has been described as politics of desperation. It comes from General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, George Pilgrim. Earlier this month, the Barbados Statistical Service reported that unemployment in Barbados has been declining, now standing at 9.3%. But the opposition and others have been questioning those numbers. Mr. Pilgrim says when the figure was in double digits, the agency's competency was not questioned.
There can be no doubt that efforts and the policies, though not finding favor with the entire opposition and its network of operatives, has slowly begun to pay dividends as predicted. It cannot be wrong to admit that policies are working, and thus the team should be congratulated for putting the effort in. Barbadians should be thanked for staying the course. We are not of the woods, but progress is progress. Barbados and its people have made progress.
Mr. Pilgrim says the recent figures point to a positive response to the policies initiated by the Frendel Stewart administration.
In the face of scientific findings, in the face of state agencies on biased, tried and tested, accepted methodologies, the opposition and its network of operatives are still opposing. Truly, politics of desperation. But there has to be a limit to mistruths. What is baffling is the same institution with the same staff pre-2008 and post-2008 are now the subject of public scrutiny by some. As a matter of fact, a check with the Barbados Statistical Service website would reveal the only thing that has changed at the Barbados Statistical Service since we came to government is the phone number.
Barbadians are being told they should consider themselves extremely lucky to be able to celebrate the birthday of a national hero during the 50th anniversary of independence. And this is the view of the deputy head of the 50th anniversary of Independence Celebration Secretariat, Commander Aquinas Clark. He was speaking during 94.7 FM's Sir Gary at 80 radio broadcast at the Hilton Hotel. The discussion was hosted by Admiral Nelson and focused on the upcoming T20 cricket match in celebration of Sir Gary's 80th birthday. The segment also included veteran sports journalist Keith Holder and former West Indies cricketer Desmond Haynes. Mr. Haynes says the concept is a great one that the cricket legend is worthy of.
I think for the only living national hero on the island, I think, it would be good for the public to come out and say thanks, for the contribution he has made to Barbados and West Indies in extension and the wider world.
Commander Clark encouraged Barbadians to come out and show their appreciation for the cricket legend.
When the iconic events were discussed and developed, this was one of the first things that was on the program. Because obviously the government of Barbados and the people of Barbados really want to say thanks to Sir Gary for what he's done, because he's been a major part of our development. In fact, if you look back at the history of Sir Gary and his playing cricket from 1954 to 1974, some may argue in the academic circles that his playing prowess, his leadership, and what he achieved in cricket helped to shape how we thought about ourselves as Barbadians.
The match takes place on the 28th of July and will see some of the best former international players. Commander Clark says the event will be a mix of sport and culture.
We are marrying cricket with calypso and culture because obviously Barbados is a lot more than cricket, and what Sir Garfield Sobers has done for Barbados is a lot more than cricket. We know of his cricketing exploits, we know of his golf exploits. There's a developmental exploit in the Sir Garfield Sobers tournament. and his bringing of tourists to Barbados for the sheer sake of being on the same rock as Cigar Field Sobers is something that must be celebrated.
And we'll have more news in just a moment. Stay with us.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153 to sign up to Digicel today.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Junior Calypsonians have something to say. Extra, extra, read all about it. Hot topics at the Scotiabank Junior Calypso Monarch Finals in association with IGM Stage Lighting. Extra, extra.
On Saturday, July 23rd at 7 p.m., the Junior Calypso Monarch finalists will ignite the stage at Kensington Oval with a range of hot topics as they vie for the Scotiabank Junior Calypso Monarch crown. Tickets are $25 for adults, $15 for children ages 4 to 12. Available from all crop over box offices and online at ticketpal.com. Log on to www.ncf.bb for more details. Purchase a ticket for any NCF event and have an opportunity to win a piece of the rock. Come over.
People's, we store just got even better. Come on in. Come down to the new renovated People's Market in Tudor Bridge with bigger aisles and even more in store. All your general grocery needs. A whole new fruits and vegetable section. Beer, wine and liquor. A wide selection of meat and fish. And everything for your outdoor chilling and barbecue grilling. But most of all, everything at low prices. Right, Miss Evans?
That's right, Ma. And now we have the People's Mall too.
People's, come on down to the People's Market in Tudor Bridge.
ICBL T20 cricket party, more than a match. To Gary's 80th birthday, celebrating the greatest all-rounder and our national hero. You can't beat that. July 28th, 6:30 p.m. Tickets from Kensington Oval, CS Pharmacy, and TicketPal.com. Hosted by the 50th Anniversary Secretariat.
69-year-old man collapsed and died while cycling on the Graham Hall section of the ABC Highway around noon today. And he has since been identified as Shalmer Jones of Maxwell in Christchurch. Now, many thought it was a collision, but it turned out to be another sudden death. Police report that Mr. Jones was riding north on the highway when he fell from his bicycle and died. Ambulance personnel responded to the scene and they found no signs of life. 2 police officers were on the scene when CBC arrived and a small crowd had also gathered. Police are investigating the sudden death of Mr. Jones and say that no foul play is suspected at this time. Well, the Barbados economy grew by 1.3% for the first half of this year. However, the Central Bank of Barbados has revised the island's growth projection for the remainder of this year downward, citing the fact that most major investment projects are behind schedule. The bank now says the economy will grow by 1.5% for the remainder of the year, down from 1.8% growth that had been predicted earlier this year. The revelation from the bank's governor, Dr. Dilal Wirral, in the just released half-year review of the economy.
The main impact of the recent fall in the value of sterling may well be on the sale of villas and second homes to UK residents. The growth rate could be higher if investment in tourism and alternative energy can be speeded up. Private investment in hotels and tourism-related activity is expected to be over $600 million over the course of the next 4 years. For the 2016-17 fiscal year, public sector investment of $210 million is planned, with $165 million being externally funded.
Barbados stands to benefit from more flights from Air Canada from Montreal this coming winter season. Starting December 22nd, the flight rotations into Barbados from Montreal will increase from 3 to 4 weekly, arriving on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. Canada Director of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, Peter Mears, confirmed the additional service, describing it as a boom for the island. He says the Montreal rotations growth is a sure sign that the route continues to perform well and is testimony to a long, strong relationship with that Canadian airline. With this second annual increase in the Montreal service, Barbados is set to realize a 28% increase of 64,118 seats out of Canada. Air Canada announced an increase in flights earlier this month out of Toronto, which will start from November. Well, police are searching for a 21-year-old St. Thomas man they say is armed and dangerous. He is Romario Darren Lashley, alias Bar, of Downs Gap, Arthur Seat. He is between 5 feet 8 inches and 5 feet 10 inches tall, of medium build and a light brown complexion. Now, Lashley is advised that he can present himself to the police, accompanied by an attorney at law of his choice. Any person who may know the whereabouts of Romario Darren Lashley is asked to contact the police emergency at telephone number 211, the nearest police station, or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIPS. That's 1-800-8477. The public is being reminded that it is a serious offense to harbor or assist wanted persons, and anyone caught committing this offense can be prosecuted. Well, the curtain has come down on one of the biggest events for this year's Crop Over Festival, Soca on the Hill 2016. Thousands turned out for that event, which appeared to be a resounding success.
Over 10,000 soca lovers packed the Farley Hill National Park for Soca on the Hill. And they got value for their money as they were treated to over 6 hours of continuous partying. From the early afternoon, patrons whipped up a frenzy dancing to energetic performances from some of the best local and regional acts, including Patrice Roberts, Ricardo Drew, Lyrical and Skinny Fabulous. And they enjoyed every bit of the performances.
Having a ball! I love it, it's awesome!
So far, I enjoy all the fun today because when I ain't get to fully walk up all yet, but no start to walk up and I drinking and I enjoying this here. I hope I won't start till they finish. I can't because I haven't finished walk up yet. I no start to walk up.
It was truly a memorable occasion for Patrice Roberts, who made her first appearance at the event while pregnant.
The performance was great and it was a pleasure to be here. I mean, I haven't been here for like 2 or 3 years. So being here was a great experience, especially before I deliver. You know, it's a memorable one. And it's always a pleasure to perform in Barbados.
The older artists were not left out of the mix, like Griner.
It's always nice down here though. I've been here about 3-4 times before. But you know, they don't call the old men anymore. They don't want the old men, they want young people now. So they still go make a store, when they come inside, in between the young people. So I feel happy.
Patrons also got a serving of bashment from the 2016 Bashment Soca King Stiffy, along with other Bashment Soca finalists Cooper Dan and Skrilla. 2015 Party Monarch Peter Ram ended the event.
Performance went real sweet, you know, yeah. But I don't like the last thing though, you know what I mean? I don't like the last thing. Not saying that, you know what I mean? I had a choice and thing, but performance was nice. And surprising that the people stand up there and wait, you know what I mean, until they come. And it was beautiful, for real. So I enjoy it, the people enjoy it.
120 children in the Jewins Village, St. James area will soon have access to a new nursery school that could stand to benefit the entire community. Parliamentary representative for the area, Donville Innes, revealed this during a groundbreaking ceremony for the access road to the Maria Holder Nursery School. Mr. Innes says this will be the first of 6 new nurseries sponsored by that charity.
My constituents, so by and large, middle income, are also the ones who need to have access to these state-owned facilities such as nursery schools, so they can get on with their other lives and know the children in a safe environment. So it's another example of the government's commitment to our communities such as Jones Village and surrounding areas, and more a national policy of ensuring that we provide adequate nursery school facilities in this country on the whole.
Housing Minister Dennis Kelman also spoke at that groundbreaking ceremony. He says the initiative will be more than a nursery school, but an access road to a number of residents who cannot get to their homes via a paved road. He says the approach to government initiatives should seek to benefit all facets of society and create opportunities for future development.
When we are doing a project for government, that we also have to look and see how we can better the lives of other persons, because it is not only about that particular project, but also opening up other opportunities. I've also made that point to the NEC that whenever they have a development, that they can not only put in infrastructure thinking about the development, but the infrastructure must be open up other lands.
Parts of St. Andrew, St. John and St. Joseph will tomorrow face water outages as there will be a shutdown of the Springs main along Mount Pleasant, St. Philip to Bend Spring in St. John. As a result of the work, which forms part of the Barbados Water Authority's mains laying project in Package B, customers are encouraged to store an adequate amount of water for the duration of the shutdown. Now, the shutdown will be from 9 in the morning until 9 in the night. Affected areas will include Blades Hill and Thickets in St. Philip, Consett Bay, St. Mark's, Fortescue, Bath, St. Margaret's, Glenburnie and Foster Hall in St. John, Tent Bay, Bathsheba, Joes River, St. Elizabeth Village, Cattle Wash, East Coast Road in St. Joseph, and Belle Plaine, Lakes, Isolation Road, Franklin Douglas Road, Babylon, Walkers, Shorey Village, Chalky Mount, Cambridge, Brucevale, St. Simons, Bawdens, Cane Garden, Brucevale and Baxter's, all in St. Andrew. And late this evening, the Hampton pumping station in St. Philip went offline. As a result, residents and businesses in parts of St. Philip and Christchurch may experience low water pressure or outages as well. And they are also being asked to store an adequate amount of water for the duration of the shutdown, which will happen from about 8 until 1 tomorrow morning. The shutdown is to facilitate upgrades. The affected areas will include Woodbourne, Marchfield, Six Roads, Brayton, Edgecombe and neighbouring districts in St. Philip, Searles, Fairview, Coverley, Charnock, Inchmarlow, Hopewell, Newton, Kingsland, Lodge Road, the Grantley Adams International Airport, Pilgrim Road and surrounding areas, all in Christchurch. Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region.
On the biggest Sunday in Soca, we bring to you the battle of the MQI 98.1 Soca Royale. Starting from 3 p.m. with the 98.1 DJ, Kirk Brown, Versi, and Indian, and the Monarchs of the Mass as we pay tribute to Lil Rick, Mikey, Edwin, Blood, and RPB with live performances from Griner, Gabby, Rasiley, the Bashman Soca King, Snippy, and more. History will be made as 2015 Sweet Soca Monarch Edwin Yearwood awaits all challenges from Adrian Clark, Biggie Irie, Joaquin, Marvin, Mikey, Mr. Deal, Nikita, and Peter Ram. Then it's Party Monarch time as Edwin Yearwood, Iwan, Lead Pipe and Satis, Lil Rick, Mikey, Mr. Deal, Mr. Blood, and TC challenge 2015 Party Monarch Peter Ram for the throne. Advance tickets $50, at the door $60, and children under 12 $20. The MQI 98.1 Soca Royale. Buy a ticket for any National Cultural Foundation event and get a chance to win a piece of land.
Regional stories now. The opposition in Guyana is accusing the government of embarking on a witch hunt. It says former People's Progressive Party civic ministers in particular have all been targeted.
The opposition is claiming that it understands that just recently, based on political directives, warrants have been solicited from the court to gain access to bank accounts of former PPP ministers and to carry out searches at their respective places of residence. The General Secretary of the PPP, Clement Roy, was pressed to give names.
We don't know who they. We don't know who the warrants are issued and whose names. But we know that the courts have been
that the courts have been approached for warrants to access the bank accounts of PPP members as well as to search their homes. That's what we know.
Don't have the warrants when you see.
I can't say.
The party's General Secretary says the PPP has taken note of persistent threats by Dr. Clive Thomas, the head of the State Assets Recovery Unit SARU, to PPP leaders and former government and state functionaries.
Any attempt to use SARU to illegally harm the legitimate economic and financial interests of any PPPC leader and or former government functionaries on the basis of wild, unsubstantiated, and politically motivated allegations of corruption will be stoutly and resolutely rebuffed by the PPP.
The party's General Secretary brushed aside assertions that he himself could be harboring skeletons.
But me?
Yeah.
If I have anything to hide? Yeah. No, I don't have anything to hide. Why would I have anything to hide?
About 25 Jamaicans detained in Trinidad and Tobago for various infringements are to be returned to their homeland shortly. And that's the word from Jamaica's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kamina Johnson-Smith, following bilateral talks with officials from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. She says 15 people were recently returned and the process to have 25 others sent back to Kingston is now being completed. Port of Spain is helping to expedite that process.